It's an honor to be in Indian Institute of Management. Of course, I feel too self-conscious with my pictures at the back. Never had that situation before. What is this? FDI, FII, and then also WTO? So a bit on all the three. A very significant change in the rules was made sometime in July of 2015, which, at least for the purpose of investment, removed the caps which existed between the various categories of investments one can make in India. So if you were earlier doing FDI, you would only do it up to a certain percentage. That was determined by the sectoral caps. Then if you were to do FII, you would do it at a different level because that was determined by a different rule. And so with FPIs and so with any other form of investment which an investor living abroad would want to do. And this had led to a lot of confusion. And in an era where we are trying to open up and simplify processes, we thought it was first necessary to remove this anomaly between one category of investment and the other, and therefore a composite cap situation was created whereby whatever be the category in which you would want to invest, the cap which is decided as per a policy would determine it, rather than whether it is one for FDI, another for FII, a third one for something else. So, in spite of having the categories, even now, because of the composite cap situation which was brought in July of 2015, the difference in the investment pattern will no longer give anybody the comfort or the confusion about how much can he or she invest. I'm going backwards. Therefore, whether you are an FII or FPI or FDI, the level to which you can invest in a particular sector is sectorally decided based on a policy, and anything that you would do, therefore, investing in a particular company would be going through largely the automatic route, wherein there will be one stage of looking at all your documents, and if every compliance as per the foreign exchange regulation, foreign exchange management or the SEBI regulations which govern them are complied with, you get the approval for the investment that you would make. So that's how simplified it has become. Now, therefore, talking about FDI, FII, to me today would be reduced to which sector do you want to come in, irrespective of whether you're an institutional investor or a direct investing individual or a corporate entity, this is how far you can come. Now, FDI is the direct investment by persons who are living abroad, a corporate entity or an individual, who are governed largely by the foreign exchange management rules of this country, which are only as recent as 2000. I think the year 2000, the final shape was given to that management. Earlier, probably it was called something else. So I don't really need to spend time on the definitions of what FDI are or FII are. You'll get it anywhere. But what this government has done is to only make sure that the gray area that exists between one and the other type of investment is no longer prevails, and there is a simplified approach to investments which are received by companies. Now, what is the position of FDI which is being received by us? I'm glad to say that from among the countries which normally do keep a monitoring of FDIs which are flowing into their countries, we seem to have received the highest amount in the last fiscal. Something in the range of $29.6 billion US. And the period could be April to December, April to April, whatever. The last fiscal is what I'm talking about. If in percentage terms that we need to talk about it, it is a 38% flow compared to, that's an increase compared to a 16% dip all over the world. Which in other words tells me that Indian economy, the confidence that the Indian economy is instilling in the minds of investors is only improving by the day, and there is greater confidence for people to come and invest in India. Largely individual and trust and other corporate entities are coming in. Now, where is this money coming in? The general feeling would be, oh, it's coming into IT and IT-enabled services. Well, IT-enabled services also receive it, but if I know my statistics or the figures that we have in front of us, IT-enabled services are probably the third highest receiving FDIs. The first one is services other than IT and IT-enabled services, which may include a lot of things, a lot of miscellaneous things. It could be courier services, it could be getting into services which are partly related to logistics, retailing, and so on. But the first one is therefore that category, which is a lot of miscellaneous items going into it. Second is construction, infrastructure related, which receives a lot of FDI. Then you also have retailing, other than the bits which go into, by definition, into the first category of miscellany. Retailing receives a lot of money. And as I said, then you also have IT-enabled services. Chemical industries are also receiving, other than say fertilizers, they are also receiving a lot of FDI. So that's about FDI. FIIs are dropping. There is no increase in FIIs. They're actually progressively coming down. Now, just let me go back to the FDI for a minute. The largest source of our FDI, till now, everybody would say with a smack or a smear in their face, is, oh, Mauritius. Singapore has overtaken Mauritius in terms of the biggest source of our FDI. Now, Singapore, yes, Mauritius. Then you also have US, Netherlands, and countries like that, Germany, Japan, at different levels. They are not really, the difference between each one is not just proportionately lesser, sharp difference between one and the other. So your FDI picture is fairly simple and straightforward. FIIs, I said, are falling. And of course, repeated questions are asked of FDIs. Okay, the Prime Minister is going around visiting countries. Are you receiving any investment from these countries? Yes, we are. And there are very big ticket offers. They are, you may say, show me where they are. They are plans, they are getting grounded. Like for instance, you'll recall when Prime Minister visited Japan, 35 billion US dollars were committed, both through public and private investments, which were to come in the next 5 years. And Japan, you know, has taken a lot of interest in participating in the corridor projects. The Bangalore-Mumbai corridor, they are showing a lot of interest in wanting to participate in either creating industrial hubs or being part of the industrial corridor itself. Other than that, they are also interested in participating in the smart cities that we want to build. As you know, they are already committed to have a participation in the creation of the new capital for the state of Andhra Pradesh, Amravati. They're also taking interest in bullet trains. So that's how far I would explain about Japanese or investments coming from Japan. Now, investments also were offered to the extent of 20 billion when the Prime Minister went to China. China is also very clearly identified itself with creating 2 industrial parks, one in Maharashtra and one in Gujarat. The Maharashtra one, they're also bringing in truck manufacturers from China who have a collaboration with Mercedes-Benz, and they would come and produce that brand of trucks, mostly for export. China is also participating in a few more investments which are being created for production of several other manufacturing goods, the categories of which will be explicit soon. I'm only touching on, some of the main things which have been committed. US has come up with not a very big public spending. It is about $5 billion US, but specifically tailor-made for different projects, which will help in greater interaction between the American and the Indian businesses. The US-India Business Council has assessed that in the next 5 years, US business houses will be interested in investing anywhere between 40 to 45 billion US dollars in India in various sectors of activity. That's an assessment made by the US-India Business Council. Similarly, Korea, similarly Germany. Germany openly did talk about helping us with railways, bringing in technology with the with the maintenance and the rolling stock, improving the efficiency of railways and so on. France has committed itself for development of 2, in fact 3 smart cities in India. Nagpur and Puducherry were 2 towns in which they were interested in. So if I go on, there are specific commitments given by countries where the Prime Minister did visit, and a complete list is available. Other than this, big companies have stated, whether it is Foxconn or SoftBank, they have come up with a list of things that they want to do. About the investment figures that they've given, there is a whole list of it. So we are actually seeing a trust being placed on the Indian investment environment, manufacturing environment, by countries who are now very clearly shifting manufacturing out of, let's say, China, where cost of production is going up, excess capacities are prevailing, inventories are really bothering companies, and they don't see a possibility of better production or better permutation and combination or better ecosystem for continuing in production in China. So many of them are shifting to, say, India.